A girl named Kyria decides to hike to an inn but becomes stuck when she comes across a fallen bridge on the way. She then comes across a foreigner boy named Gane who teases her and promises to show her the way through the forest to the inn. He takes her to another direction where she has to cross a thin mountain log to cross the river, and to her surprise he crosses the log on his tiptoes easily. She then somehow crosses it with a lot of struggle, and he leads her through the forest via some random zigzag paths that are hard to maneuver. She keeps noticing that he has great lower body strength, and they finally arrive at the inn. Later, Gane then plays baseball with his friends and he breaks his personal record of hitting the ball the farthest. The boys tell Kyria that they all play baseball because they want to play a sport that makes the longest hits, and Kyria offers to show them how to play golf for a change. She reveals that she is actually a pro golfer who is ranked 10th in the female division, and the boys make fun of her for playing a boring sport, so she beats them up. The others leave other than Gane, and she then shows him how to make a golf shot. The ball ends up flying beyond sight, which impresses Gane a lot, and he requests her to let him hit the ball with the club as well. She allows him, and he then attempts to hit the golf ball, but he misses his shot. He keeps missing, so she gives him some beginner level advice. Finally he manages to make a very long hit, and Kyria notices that he is using a very specific posture, so he takes her to a forest and shows her how to cut a tree. She realizes that he used the same tactic and skills to hit the golf ball that he uses to cut down trees for his family, and he then takes her to a spot where she asks him to hit the golf again. He hits the golf ball about 300 meters away and declares that he wants to pursue golfing. Later she gifts him her practice golf club, and she explains to him that she is going away but he should pursue golfing on his own. She suggests that he can move in when he is an adult, and he forcibly takes her to his home to stay for the night. He introduces her to his grandpa, and later she tells his grandpa that he has actual talent due to which he needs to be trained under a proper coach. She asks him whether he can allow him to go away to a bigger city, but grandpa doesn't give her an answer. She leaves the next day, and Gane continues to practice all by himself day after day by swinging the club hundreds of times. His grandpa catches him swinging one day with blisters on his hand, and he allows him to go to Tokyo to train under Kyria and to become the best golfer in the world. Gane heads to Tokyo all by himself, but he struggles to find Kyria by himself, and just then, he comes across a pretty-looking dude who is also holding golfing equipment. He thinks that the guy might lead him to Kyria, so he starts following him, and the golfer named Lancelot leads him to a golfing center. They both go to the rooftop where Lancelot practices making one-by-one steady shots on his own, while Gane yaps to him about how golf is all about making very long hits. The others around them become very impressed to see Lancelot's play, and he then takes Gane to Kyria's house where he leaves him. Gane then meets up with her and tells her that her grandpa has allowed him to train under her. He goes to practice in her garden afterwards, while Kyria reads the letter that Gawain's grandpa sent for her, telling her how Gane doesn't have parents, but instead he had to take care of his grandpa all his life. He entrusts Gane to her and asks her to fulfill his dream. He also sends her a substantial amount of money to take care of her, and late Gane assures Kyria that he won't regret taking this chance. She also seems surprised to hear that Gane has been practicing 1,000 swings each day for a month, and she then takes him to a golfing center to practice some more. Gane begins his practice, and she notices that his swing has improved a lot, due to which his shots are very strong and go very far. She takes him back home, where she introduces him to her sister Kurumi, and Kuruma calls him her brother-in-law just to tease Kyria. The next morning they both head out for running, and Kyria becomes tired after running for 10 kilometers, but Gane keeps running for another 10 kilometers due to his extraordinary physical strength. He comes across a golfing center where some dudes are bullying someone, and he steps between them to stop them. He pushes one guy down and tells the bullied person to become his friend instead. The bullied loser introduces himself as Mukeda, while the two guys tell him that Mukeda is just a clumsy guy, so they were thinking of training him hard. They also challenge Gane and Mukeda to a golfing match, to which Gane immediately agrees. They all go to the golfing center where they compete with each other on which team can hit the longest ball combined. The two guys make their shot first, and their combined distance reaches up to 300 yards. Mukeda is barely able to hit the ball up to 100 yards, and when Gawain's turn comes, he hits the 300-yard mark easily. His team wins, and the other team starts thinking that maybe it was a fluke that he hit the 300 yards point. Lancelot, who is the captain of their golf club, comes to tell them that Gane didn't make a fluke, and Gane informs him that he has been practicing for 1 month. Lancelot still thinks that Gane can't beat him in golf because he only knows how to make long drives, so he challenges him to a real golfing match. They both go to the rooftop where he puts Gawain's ball near the hole and his own very far from the goal. He tells him that the person who throws the ball into the hole in the shortest strokes wins. Gane then makes his first shot, but he doesn't make it, and he keeps making his shots, but none of them go into the ball. He gives up after making 30 shots, and Gane then hits his ball into the hole in 1 shot only. Gawain arrives back home late and asks Kyria for a club and a putter. He then starts practicing in the garden, but Kyria points out that a rough surface like her garden isn't suitable for putting. He tells her about what happened, and she also informs him that he cannot only win with long shots. She explains the 3 categories of golf, which consist of a long tee shot, which is her favorite, followed by a shot made with an iron club, which is used to bring the ball closer to the hole, and a putting shot, which is used to hit the ball into the hole. The next morning, he sees that Lancelot is in his new school, so he issues a challenge to him after barging into his class. Kyria then makes him practice how to make a putting shot, and she explains all the science behind the shot to help him understand. She tells him to practice slowly to gauge the direction and distance of the shot, and he starts off by hitting the ball 1 meter away. He then proceeds to make a 2-meter shot, and Kyria notices that he has very precise control over his shots. He takes her to the rooftop where he had the match with Lancelot, and Kyria explains to him that the rooftop has small ups and downs, due to which he has to practice how to move around his ball in each environment. He starts practicing, and Kyria thinks he needs more real-life experience, so she asks him to join a small junior golf tournament which is going to be held in a week. She then takes him to practice in a real-life golf course where she teaches him all the golf lingo and also shows him the various golf paths in the whole golf course. He starts off by making his favorite tee shot, which throws the ball over 310 yards, and Kyria then advises him to use any of the few iron shots that he has. He hits the ball out of bounds, which earns him a penalty of 1 shot, and she explains that he has to use the proper iron club by gauging the correct distance from the hole. He then uses the club to bring the ball near the hole, and he then proceeds to make 2 more putting shots to bring the ball inside the hole. He continues practicing on his own, and meanwhile Lancelot visits his sister Kadri in the hospital. She informs him how Kurumi has been visiting her, and he urges her to come back to the pro golfing scene because they all miss her. Later, the doctor tells him that Kadri should get surgery as soon as possible because the chances of her going blind are severe. The junior golfing tournament takes place a few days later, in which Gawain meets up with Muketa, and the match coordinator then announces groups. The 2 people who bullied Muketa get grouped together, while Gawain, Muketa and Lancelot also get grouped in one group to compete against each other. The first group members take their shot one by one, in which a girl named Yumiko uses an iron club to make her tee shot. Once the first group moves to the green side of the course, the second group starts making their shots, and Muketa becomes nervous to make his first shot. Gawain makes him laugh by using lame humor, which relaxes him, and he makes his shot. Lancelot compliments him, and he then proceeds to make his shot, which goes up to 200 yards, impressing everyone. Gawain then makes his shot, which goes up to 320 yards, shocking everyone since even pros cannot make such long shots. He then makes his putting shot next, which doesn't go into the hole properly, but Lancelot notices that he has improved a lot since the last time. Gawain makes the hole in the next shot, and the tournament proceeds as they all switch the course after every round. During the halftime, Kyria informs Gawain that he is only 2 shots behind Lancelot, and Kurumi even offers Lancelot a drink because she is his #1 fan. The result gets announced that Yumiko has come at number 2, followed by Gawain, who is at number 3. In the next round, the weather starts to worsen, and Yumiko declares that she will take down Lancelot to become the #1 player in the girls and boys championship, while Gawain declares that he will take both of them down. Lancelot throws the ball directly towards the green grass where the ball pin lies. Yumiko then taunts him that he is not being ambitious enough by not aiming the ball directly at the hole, and she makes her own shot next. Her ball ends up going towards the pond, but the ball has a backspin which allows it to move back towards the hole. Gawain's turn is next, and he fails to read the wind, due to which his ball hits the pond. Yumiko and Lancelot make their shots in the hole next, while Gawain gets left behind by 3 shots. They all head to the next course, but on the way it starts to rain quite heavily, and Lancelot and Gawain take out their umbrellas. Yumiko hasn't brought one, so they both put their umbrellas back in their bags because they want to compete in the same conditions. In the next round, Lancelot hits his ball towards the left side of the course, which has few obstacles, while Yumiko ends up hitting the ball in a bush due to the bad weather. Gawain also hits his ball in a bunker, and Yumiko fails to find her ball, due to which her time starts to run out. Both boys help her find the ball, and after Gawain finds it, she declares that it's unplayable, due to which she has to make her shot again. Up next, Gawain tries hitting his ball from the bunker, but due to hardened sand he struggles to make a proper shoot. Soon he falls behind 8 points from Lancelot, and he ends up making his next shot into the forest accidentally. He thinks he can hit it towards the green rather than declaring it unplayable, and he rushes inside the forest with a driver club. He hits it hard, which sends the ball directly into the hole, impressing everyone else. The tournament ends with Lancelot as the winner, and Gawain cries in the locker room afterwards, while Lancelot declares that he was wrong about him and that he can definitely become a pro. Suddenly, a creepy-looking old man named Merlin arrives and shares that he has been watching them. He turns out to be principal of the Camelot Academy, which trains many pro golfers, and he offers both of them to join the Camelot Academy. Kyria takes Gane to the Camelot Academy, where the elementary and junior school teacher Arya meets her. She harshly tells Kyria to leave and that visitors are only allowed once a month. She then takes Gane to his class, which has only 12 elementary and junior school members because the academy only takes championship players or hand-picked players by Principal Merlin. Gane introduces himself to the whole class in his bright mood, and he notices that Yumiko is also in his class. Arya tells each student what to do, and Gane then writes his name in classic calligraphy. He also declares to his class that he is going to become the best golfer in the world, which makes a few of the students laugh at him. Later he informs Yumiko that Lancelot refused to come, and she tells him how she has been in the academy for 1 year. They both head to the cafeteria, where they overhear their classmates talking about Gane. His classmate named Riser comments that Gane must be joking, so Gane assures him that he never jokes about golfing. Things get heated between them, and another classmate named Platilysa suggests both of them do a driving match and that the loser has to leave the school. They both agree, while Yumiko slaps Platilysa for underestimating Gane so much. Riser and Gane visit a golfing course where Riser makes his shot first, which goes 310 years away. Next Gane makes his shot and it goes over the course at a distance of 330 yards, which completely blows Riser away. He admits his defeat and they both arrive late to class, where Arya tells them about the strict rules about timings and absences. Gane recalls that Lancelot told him that he cannot come to Camelot Academy until his sister recovers from his eye disease. The next morning he wakes up early to find his classmate Leebel practicing swinging all by himself, and he joins him. Later all the classmates run for 10 kilometers, after which Gane heartily eats breakfast while the rest of them feel sick. They all then do their usual practice, while Yumiko gets assigned for cleaning. She accidentally hits a can on a ledge with her broom, so she tries retrieving it and she ends up tripping instead. Leebel and Gane come to find her and they see that she is about to fall down, so Leebel rushes inside the building while Gane climbs on the gutter pipe. He manages to barely catch her when she falls, and Leebel then helps her get inside safely. The pipe breaks and Gane falls down as well, but he manages to jump on the ground at the last second. They all get assigned to repair the gutter pipe, and later Gane learns that he has to practice his basic skills for the first 6 months, after which he will be allowed to play in the actual golfing course. He starts crying because he wants to become a pro as fast as possible, and because he doesn't want to leave his grandpa alone in the countryside, so Leebel suggests him to make a request to Arya to allow him to play. They both visit Arya together, where Gane keeps pleading with her and she allows him on the condition that he has to beat Leebel at least once in a golfing match. Gane later tells Riser and Yumiko that he has to win or tie at least one match with Leebel to get permission to use a golfing course, and Riser explains to him that the academy has 3 categories of players, in which only Category A players can play matches, while Category B can play local matches only, and Category C players cannot play any matches. Riser reveals that he is in Category C while Leebel is in Category A, which makes Gane even more excited to play against him. They all discuss how Leebel hasn't won any official matches, and later Arya advises Leebel to not go easy on Gane since the match is a trial for both of them. Their match begins, in which Leebel uses an iron club to make his first shot, while Gane makes his infamous first shot, which throws the ball 320 yards away. His next shot is easy as he can easily hold the ball, but he hits the ball too hard, which moves it even further from the hole. Leebel advises him to relax, and he ends up holing the ball in 2 shots. He loses the round, but with 2 rounds left, he declares that he will definitely win. For the next round, Leebel deliberately makes mistakes to make Gane win, and Arya and Gane both also figure this out. For the last shot, Gane hits a little rough, due to which he fails to make it, while Leebel ends up unintentionally putting the ball into the hole even though he was not aiming for it. Gane ends up losing the round and he admits his defeat, but he then punches Leebel for not taking him seriously. He starts whining about being treated as a kid, and Leebel tells him that he has no right to win either. He recalls that he used to be a very good golfer who would always make his grandma happy, and he promised her that he would earn a good life for her sake. His grandma even sold her necklace to buy him golf clubs, and on her birthday he cheated during his tournament just to gift her the winning medal. In the present, Arya points out that he has never tried to play seriously during a tournament, and Gane yells at him for not taking other players seriously who work their hardest against him. Leebel promises to play seriously against him in the next round, and they reach the next course, where a pond surrounds the green side of the course. Leebel takes out his driving club for the first time and hits his tee shots, which throws the ball over the pond at a distance of 360 yards. Later they all head back, and Gane tells Yumiko that he lost against Leebel, but he will practice hard for the next 6 months. Arya promises to expedite his course debut if he improves a lot, and Gawain's classmates celebrate this small achievement. Later, Gane calls Kyria and she encourages him to practice a lot to successfully make his course debut. Lancelot also wishes him the same on the call, and Gane then rushes to bring Yumiko so that she can talk with Lancelot too. Yumiko arrives, and on the other line Kurumu plays a prank by telling Yumiko to focus on her training and shutting down the call. Arya announces to the class that the tryouts for the selected players of the Camelot Cup is going to be held soon, and she explains to Gane that selected 7 players from each branch participate in the Camelot Cup from all their 4 branches around the world, and that all players get a chance for tryouts. She also tells him about the reward, which is a prized club, and Gane compares it to some kind of mythical item, which makes him excited. Later he discusses it with his friends, and Yumiko tells him that Academy's 5 divisional players had all gone to a regional tour, but they are back now and will be competing for the Camelot Cup too. Arya discusses the divisional players' team performance with their teacher Dorfa, who informs her how they lost to Lancelot in one of the regional matches, but they won the majority of the rest of the matches. The divisional players discuss the new member Gane, and they think that the Academy's standard has fallen a lot if they are hiring chubby squishy kids like him. One of them, named Canizono, offers to show the reward of the tournament to Gane, and he lures him into the forest to the storage room. Gane heads inside the storage room all by himself, while Canizono tells him that he can never reach the Camelot Cup, and he then shuts the storage room door. Leebel and Riser rush for Gawain's help, and 2 more divisional players named Tristan and Arai stop them. Similarly, Yumiko and Platilysa also get called by 2 divisional level seniors, and they all tell them to mind their seniors. Finally, a challenge gets issued to play a match of normal players and divisional players to determine which team is the best. One of Gawain's classmates named Wanglian spots Canizono bullying Gane behind the locked storage room door, and he taunts him for acting like a child. Canizono runs away, and Wanglian then breaks the door open, after which Gane also rushes away to find Canizono. Lancelot visits his sister Kadri, and Kyria asks him to come with her to visit Gane next week. He doesn't think he should go, but Kadri insists, and he decides to visit Gane. Arya tells Dorfa that she cannot find her students anywhere, and that his own students seem to be missing as well. Both divisions gather at one of the grounds where the pickup point releases a golf ball after every 3 seconds, and Arya then throws a bunch of balls up to 280 yards quickly, one after another. Tristan asks Leebel to make driving shots next, since he is also an A-level player, so Leebel makes consecutive shots with land roughly around 320 yards and shock the other team. Just then, Gane runs up to them and he starts yelling at Canizono. Tristan learns that Gane is also trying out for Camelot Cup, and he feels insulted to hear this. Gane then gets a chance to make driving shots next, and Wanglian advises him to think that the ball is Canizono. Dorfa and Arya also arrive at the ground, and everyone becomes surprised to see that Gane is making shot after shot at an average distance of 330 yards without much fluctuation. Dorfa recalls that there was once a legendary player who could see the path of his driving shot, due to which his shot was called Rising Impact, and he thinks Gane has the same talent. The other team recognizes Gawain's talents, and later they decide to win the tryouts for Camelot Cup at any cost. Lancelot practices on his own, and Kurumi eats sandwiches with him after his practice. At Camelot Academy, Gane gets grouped with Tristan and Wanglian for the tryout matches, while all the girls get grouped together. Kyria also heads to the academy with Lancelot and Kurumi to visit Gane, and all the players head to the first course, which is shaped like a spiral deep in the forest. Gane gets to make his shot first in the woody forest, and he hits it against a tree intentionally to make the ball bounce back a bit. Tristan precisely makes his shot along with the golf course, while Wanglian uses a club made out of persimmon wood. He then makes a very precise shot, even sharper than Tristan, which goes along with the direction of wind. Gawain's next shot brings his ball to a bunker, but he doesn't declare his play unplayable. Rather, he jumps in the air and makes a slicer shot which brings the ball out of the mud and sends it flying ahead. Up next, Tristan uses a 9-number club to hit his ball slowly around a curve, and Gane thinks that the other players are being cautious. For his next shot, he has to hit the ball over a pond, so he takes out a 4-numbered club. He is about to hit the ball when his club hits the tree behind him, and he hits the ball wrong, but it skips over the water and lands on the green side. All players manage to reach the green, and they hold their balls one by one. Gane and Wanglian get tied, while Tristan takes the lead in the first round. They all reach the second course next, which consists of 3 different paths, and Gane hits his first shot through the middle path. The remaining players take the side paths, much to Gawain's surprise, and he crosses the middle path only to find that his course is filled with mud. The left path where Tristan made his shot is filled with rough grass, but it doesn't affect him as he makes his next shot, which throws his ball to the grass section. Similarly, the right path where Wanglian made his shot faces very strong wings, but he makes his next shot which throws his ball to the grass section as well. Gane faces a huge hill on top of the muddy ground, and he tries making his shot, but he slips on the mud and falls down. Wanlian and Tadoin reach the grass section and Wanlian recalls how he crossed the muddy path in 14 shots which crushed his spirits the first time. They both hold their balls while Gawain struggles to hit the ball even after trying thrice. For his fourth shot, he implants his feet firmly on the ground and hits the cliff which breaks down a portion of it. He realizes that he can see the top of the flag, so he tells his group mates to move aside and he makes his shot again. He then rushes up only to see that his ball is missing, but the others tell him that he has managed to hold his ball directly. Kyria and her group arrive at the Camelot Academy, but they are asked to wait for 1 more hour because of the tryouts, and Lancelot heads to the grounds to watch the match. Meanwhile, the girl group is on their round in which Yumiko tries directly hitting the ball towards the hole, but the ball hits a raker which is lying behind the hole, causing it to bounce back into the mud. The other class girls throw taunts at her and one by one the girls make their shot. Platilysa makes it near the green while one of the other girls named Hershey then precisely uses 2 strokes to hold the ball. Up next, another girl named Curamine also precisely holds the ball even though it was going to take 3 to 5 shots to chip the ball inside. Gawain's team also reaches the 5th round and they meet Lancelot on the way, who Gawain thinks is the best putter ever. On the girls' side, Yumiko messes up as she fails to swing properly and the other girls make fun of her. Tadoin tells Lancelot to get out of the course and Gawain pitches in that Lancelot has won all the tournaments he plays. Tadoin thinks that Lancelot is just some mama's boy and things get heated between them, so Tadoin decides to show his game to him. In the next course he takes out a 55-inch club and hits the ball 400 yards away, which shocks everyone. The others also make their shots and they head to the next course. Tadoin tells Gawain and Wanlian to practice hard even if they win the tryouts because their current skill set is just not good enough for the actual competition. Lancelot points out that even Tadoin cannot use his special move more than 2 times in a match because of his lack of strength. Lancelot later meets up with Yumiko and the other teams start arriving one by one as well. Arai and Hershey's club broke during their matches, due to which they both performed very poorly. It turns out that Leebel scored even better than Tadoin, and Gawain then introduces everyone to Lancelot. They all already know him as the greatest elementary player and he tells them that the Camelot Academy players exceeded his expectation by a little bit. Curamine thinks that her putting is the best, so she asks him whether he can even hold a ball with his eyes closed, and he admits that he can. Later, Dorfa announces the results to everyone, in which Leebel and Tadoin come in top while Curamine and Yumiko get the 3rd and 4th position. Platilysa and Wanlian also make it and Gawain, Canazono and Riser all get the 7th position. Another playoff match to decide the 7th player gets announced for the next day and Arai and Hershey run off. Canazono thinks to himself about how he came in the 7th position because he put cracks in Arai and Hershey's clubs. Later, Curamine challenges Lancelot to a putting match to decide the best player between them, and she herself puts 6 balls into the hole right off the bat. Gawain catches up with Kyria and Kurumi, and he even gets a phone call from his grandpa who wishes him all the best. Gawain starts crying because he misses him a lot, and later he bids goodbye to Kyria and everyone else too in high spirits. The next, Gawain and the 2 other players gather at one of the courses to play a playoff match against each other, and Canazono thinks that Gawain and Riser are pretty dumb for being so fired up because he will obviously win. They all have to make their shot over a bunch of trees first, and Riser ends up hitting a tree branch with the ball, due to which he fails to make a long shot. Canazono then uses an iron club to hit the ball over the trees, and up next Gawain makes a clean long shot. The ball goes between the trees and over the hill, but due to the strong wind up ahead it doesn't go ahead but gets dropped after it crosses the hill. Gawain rushes ahead only to discover that there is a creek with running water ahead and that his ball is stuck in the water. The others also make their next shots and Gawain decides to play his next shot from the water, even though Arya and Riser tell him that it's impossible to his club in the water. He ends up throwing the ball 200 yards away from the water, which shocks everyone, and the others realize once again that he is not just a squishy midget after all. Riser and Canazono rush to find their ball, and Canazono discovers that both his and Riser's balls are in a bunker, so he starts cheating by putting Riser's ball in a bunker and by throwing his ball in the lush green grass. Due to his trick, Riser has to use 1 extra shot to throw his ball ahead, and he even becomes motivated to see that he is losing to a loser like Canazono. They all reach near the green area only to find that there is a great curve before the hole which is very tricky to cross. Canazono wipes Gawain's club before he can make his shot, and when Gawain attempts to hit his ball towards the green, his hand slips on the club and he only manages to hit the ball a little distance ahead. Canazono then tries hitting the ball towards the green, but a strong wind carries his ball outside the bounds. He keeps trying again and again, but all of his shots go out of bounds due to strong winds, and Arya stops him after his 12th shot. She points out to him that he should compete fairly rather than using sand on his club to dampen the effect, or rather than tampering with Gawain's club before. Yells at Arya after getting caught and runs away. Riser and Gawain compete next and Riser makes his shot which hits the hole pin unintentionally. Gawain makes a precise shot by hitting the upward slope which throws his ball on the outer edge of the green side. He tells Riser to make his shot next, and even though Riser's ball is only 20 centimeters away from the hole, he starts panicking because he doesn't want to lose. He ends up messing his shot, due to which he takes 2 shots to put his ball into the hole. Gawain then recalls Lancelot's advice telling him to be assertive when he makes his putting shot, and he relaxes as he makes his shot next. His shot ends up going into the hole directly, due to which he wins the match, and Riser wishes him good luck for the Camelot Cup. Canizono whines about he couldn't secure a seat for the Camelot Cup despite breaking Hershey and Arai's clubs, and both Hershey and Arai end up hearing his statements. Arai is about to beat his, but when Tadouin and Curamine walk in, and Canizono reminds them that both Hershey and Arai would bully him daily by making him polish their clubs. Arai argues that Canizono used his father's connections to get into the academy without any real skills, and Tadouin punches both Arai and Canizono. He tells them that they should work hard without using such tactics and walks away. Gawain sends a letter to his grandpa informing him that he is going to the UK to participate in the Camelot Cup. Meanwhile, he keeps up his practice, and one day he comes across a guy named Cates who had gotten lost on the grounds. He guides him to the main office, while Dorfa gets a call from Merlin principal telling him that he wants the students to participate at a higher level in the Camelot Cup, due to which he is sending somebody special to the company to help them train. Gawain and Cates come across Tadouin practicing, and Cates points out to him that he tends to swing his body towards his shot, due to which his shot may be a little bit inaccurate. Tadouin becomes angry at hearing this, and Gawain then takes him to the office. They both come across Leebel practicing next, and once again Cates points out that Leebel seems stiff when he is swinging the club. He then introduces himself to Arya, which shocks everyone since Cates is actually a very infamous golfing coach. Later he introduces himself to all the students, and Dorfa asks him to prove his skills first before coaching the students. Cates takes all students to a course where he asks them to hit a can which is placed at a distance with an umbrella. They all fail to hit one by one because they can't hit the ball properly with the umbrella, while Gawain manages to hit the ball very far, missing the target completely. Cates then hits the can precisely, and the students admit that he is very talented after all. Kadri gets her eye surgery done, which turns out to be successful, and Lancelot visits her. She tells him that he gave her courage to get the surgery done, and that she is worried he is losing his chance to be at Camelot Academy because of him. The students start their training under Cates one by one, and Arya and the others also decide to resume their practice because they are sick of moping around like a bunch of losers. Cates decides to tackle Gawain the last, and he challenges him to a one-course match. Cates hits the ball first and makes the hole in 2 shots, while Gawain's first shot ends up going out of bounds. Cates points out to him that his weakness is that he only wants to make the longest drive, due to which he doesn't think of the best route to put the ball into the hole, and that he forgets about the courses even though he has played in them before. Lancelot realizes that his current school is not up to his par and that he is not facing enough challenges. Later the doctor takes the bandages off from Kadri's eyes, and she is able to see perfectly. Lancelot then tells her that he wants to join Camelot Academy now. Curamine manages to put all the balls in the hole during her practice session, and she realizes that Lancelot has motivated her a lot. Later, Dorfa introduces Lancelot to everyone as the new transfer student, and he and Gawain catch up with each other. Lancelot then asks everyone whether anyone would be willing to give him their Camelot Cup seat, and Tadouin yells at him for taking them so lightly. Lancelot assures them that he is serious, and he even thinks that he can beat everyone in golfing to get to the Camelot Cup. Curamine issues a challenge to him in which Lancelot will leave the school if she wins, and she will lose her ticket to him if he wins. They decide to do a putting challenge just like last time, and Curamine takes him to a unique course which has lots of twists in it. She tells him that they will keep putting till one of them misses a shot, and Tadouin recalls that he even asked Curamine once why she was practicing only her putting skills. She then hit the ball into the same course hole with only 1 shot and collapsed due to too much focus. In the present, Curamine hits the ball into the hole once again, and Lancelot proceeds to do the same even though the golfing course is completely new to him. They both keep making shots one after another till it's night time and they are on their 500 shot. Curamine then messes up her next shot because of lack of endurance, while Lancelot makes the next shot and wins the match. He explains to Curamine that he has been making 1,000 putting shots daily since he was 6 years old, which makes her realize why he is such a genius. She then requests her teachers to let him have her spot in the Camelot Cup, and they accept her request. Lancelot stays in Gawain's room for the time being because his room isn't prepared yet, and Leebel introduces himself to him. The others also prepare to make their trip to England, and Platilysa gets into an argument with her family over something. The next day they all head to the airport where Cates gives them some last-minute advice, and Gawain assures Riser that they will both go to the Camelot Cup together. Kiria and Kurumi also arrive to bid goodbye to him, and they bring his grandpa with them as a surprise. He hugs him in tears, and his grandpa is about to tell him something serious, but he decides not to share such crucial information with him at the last second. The whole team then heads to London, and they take a bus which takes them to the countryside where the main branch of Camelot Academy is located. Arya shows everyone their dorm building and announces the whole schedule to them, which consists of 2 days of practice followed by 2 days of matches. She also advises them not to cause trouble with the other teams, and Gawain then heads out for some sightseeing. He comes across a bunch of players practicing, and they make fun of him when he tells them that he is from the Japanese team. One of the American players even tells him to go to Japan, so Gawain issues a challenge to him which he gladly accepts. Gawain declares that they should do a driving contest, and the American player named Quester tells him that they will all make one shot, and if his shot doesn't come last, he wins. Gawain then makes his shot which crosses 300 yards, and the other 2 players seem impressed while Quester only proceeds to pick out a mid-range iron club. Gawain thinks he is severely underestimating him, but Quester simply focuses on the ball and makes a very long shot. Gawain realizes that Quester's shot was much more powerful than his own shot, and they all go ahead to discover that Quester's ball is ahead of Gawain's ball by a few yards. Quester thinks that Gawain focused too much on the stability of shot, due to which he didn't give his best, but Gawain still admits his defeat in tears. Quester apologizes for making fun of him, and later Gawain returns to his dorm in tears. Quester also returns to his teammates who tease him about wrecking a Japanese player, and he tells his teammate Bilford that the Japanese player he played against may possess a special gift. Gawain can't stop crying, and Lancelot leaves him alone while Leebel and Yumiko stay by his side. He then confesses to Leebel that he competed against American players and lost, so Leebel tells him that he hasn't lost him because he can still defeat them in the official matches. The next day Gawain cheerfully heads to practice with Leebel, and he makes his driving shot which only falls a few yards away. He thinks that he made some mistake, so he tries again and again, and his driving shot only flies ahead a few yards only. He keeps messing up again and again, and some of the American team members arrive as well. They start making fun of him, and Gawain starts having an existential crisis because he can't make a long drive shot, so he runs away. Leebel runs after him, and Lancelot then introduces himself to the American team. One of the American members, called Kate, offers him to join them in practice, and she tells her teammates that they should crush another Japanese player when they are getting a chance. They all head to a short course where Lancelot faces Kate and another American player named Radil. Radil and Kate make their shots first, which puts their balls around the hole, while Lancelot takes out a putter since he was only thinking of practicing putting. He hits the ball hard, which puts it near the hole, but some other American players cheat and put his ball above the hill, which makes it difficult to hit. Up next, Lancelot thinks of how he can avenge Gawain, so he uses a spin ball which curves around the hole and then goes inside. Kate makes her putting shot next, but her ball doesn't go in the hole because Lancelot's spinning ball had made a ditch around the hole which she failed to see. She hits the ball in the next shot but loses to Lancelot due to more shots. Next, Radil makes his shot, but his ball doesn't go through even though he had accounted for Lancelot's ditch, and Lancelot wins the round. The American players report back to the other that Lancelot beat them in golfing, and Lancelot tells Yumiko that the American brats won't be bothering their team for a while. Leebel and Gawain approach Arya with their problem, and she asks Gawain to demonstrate his driving shot. He tries twice, but each time he just makes a hard shot like a newbie, and she suggests him to drop his shoulders at the time of impact. He tries following her advice, but still he cannot make his proper shot, and she thinks that maybe there is a psychological reason behind his behavior. Leebel informs her that he had a mishap with the American team, but he won't spill the tea, and she tells him to work on his problems. Lancelot then advises him to forget about Quester's shot and just focus on himself. Later he comes across a British team player, Spida, who turns out to be Platilysa's sister, and Platilysa tells her that she will get the same score as her, after which she will return home. Her sister tells her that she can never come back, and she leaves. Gawain then has breakfast with Platilysa, where he tells her that he cannot use his drive shot, so he probably won't participate in the tournament. She reveals that she only wants to play in the individual matches, so she is not participating either, and that she plans to quit golfing after the Camelot Cup. Gawain starts making a fuss over her revelation, so she explains that she was always following her sister around as a kid, but ever since she started playing golf with her sister has started hating her, due to which she wants to quit now. Her sister Spida recalls that her parents would always fuss over Platilysa's achievements, and that they even sent her to the Japanese academy to beat her. Her parents even fussed over Platilysa only when they were both going to the academy, and her mom even gifted Platilysa her own necklace as a good luck charm, even though she had previously promised to gift it to her instead. Gawain thinks that Platilysa should keep pursuing her sister, and he then rushes to the practice course to overcome his own trouble. He keeps practicing till late at night, but he cannot make a proper shot and his teammates start looking for him. They spot Gane practicing on his own and Arya thinks that Gane should be left alone to overcome his emotional hurdle. Meanwhile, Gane recalls Kyria's advice to him that he should always keep his eyes on the ball, and he recalls everything when he tried playing golf for the first time. He then follows the same advice and makes his shot, which flies over a long distance. The others come to celebrate his success and they take him back to the cafe to eat dinner. Arya walks over to the course and discovers that Gawain's shot landed at a distance of 380 yards, which shocks her. The next morning, an American team player named Bridget makes a fuss with the Japanese team that somebody from their team beat 4 of their players, and Yumiko argues with her. Quester arrives with his teammate and taunts Tadouin that hopefully he will show him real golf compared to last year. Afterwards, Tadouin then pumps up his team that they should remember all the courses during their joint practice. Meanwhile, Arya wonders what 6 players she should choose for the upcoming matches. The next day, the Japanese team discusses how the British team never came for joint team practice, and Tadouin tells them that the Japanese team has never won any individual or team matches, while the American team has only won 2 matches and the British team has won 8 times till now. Tadouin tells the others that the team matches will be played in pairs in which each player will take turns to make his shot on the same goal, and the team with the most scores over 18 courses will win. Arya announces the pairs in which Leebel and Tadouin are a team, followed by Yumiko and Wanglian, and then Lancelot and Gane get paired up while Platilysa gets placed as the reserve team members. She explains to the team that she is betting on Gawain's extraordinary growth potential and that each school sends their strongest team first, but she is going to send Lancelot and Gane team instead. She asks their team to score at least 4 points, and she then tells how many points she is expecting from each time so that they can score a total 54 points and become champions. Later, Arya meets up with the principal along with American team coach Tim and British team coach Jason. All of them submit their entry sheets, in which Jason decides to send his strongest team to the 3rd round rather than the 1st round, which was his norm for the last 10 years. Arya tells the team that she has messed up since the British strongest team will now be facing Leebel and Tadouin, which means that they will not get a lot of score against them, and the rest of the teams decide to obtain the maximum score possible. Principal Merlin announces the start of the Camelot Cup and announces the first round teams, which consist of Quester and Bilford from the American team, followed by Spida and a player named Ice from the British team, and Gane and Lancelot from Japan. He announces the rest of the pairs too, and the first match begins with Gawain's team taking the lead. The other teams think that Gane shouldn't make a drive shot since he needs to make a 380-yard shot to cross a pond which is in the way, and Yumiko tells Bridget to stop yapping too much about Gane and Quester. Gane then makes his shot, which goes over 380 yards, and everybody celebrates his superb shot. Up next, Quester makes his shot, but he keeps thinking how Gane has improved so much, due to which he doesn't make an accurate shot and it lands on the wrong side of the grass. The British team player also makes a decent shot and they all head forward for their next shots. Spida hits the ball near the hole, and up next, American player Bilford directly throws the ball in the hole, even though it seemed impossible to make such a shot due to rough grass around his ball and downward slope of the hole. Lancelot casually then takes out his putter club, and after assessing the ground in just 1 second, he makes his shot and puts the ball in the hole. The American and Japanese get a tie in the first round, which means that their score will be carried forward in the next match, while the British team loses and they all head to the next course. In the next round, the teams have to make their first shot between the bunker on a small grassy area, or they can play safe by hitting it behind the bunker. Gane hits the ball over 340 yards on the grassy area first, and Quester follows it by hitting the ball at the same location. Ice from the British team plays it safe by hitting the ball behind the bunker, and Platilysa then hits the next shot, which sends it over the bunker. Lancelot hits the next shot by putting the ball 2 meters away from the hole, and Bilford directly throws the ball towards the hole, but his ball gets stuck at the side of the hole due to a leaf. The British team admits their defeat while the American team holds the ball, and Lancelot advises Gane on how to make his shot. He ends up focusing too much on his advice, due to which he misses the hole, and the American team wins as they gain 2 points in total. Gane apologies to Lancelot for messing up, and in the next round they all face the course, which has a downward slope. Bilford makes the shot and precisely hits it near the hole, so Gane follows his steps by using the same club as him. He ends up hitting the ball outside the bound, and Platilysa follows it by throwing the ball near the hole as well. The teams start to move ahead as well, but Gane announces that he is going to make his shot again, even though it's his 3rd shot due to an out-of-bounds penalty. Everyone else thinks he should give up, but he takes his shot with an iron club and aims the ball right in the hole. His ball lands just a little distance away from the hole, and the American team wins the round again. Lancelot thinks he should keep taking such little chances, and for the next round, Bilford uses a drive shot to throw the ball 300 yards away. The The course is filled with meteor crates like bunkers which are very deep, and the grass is about 400 yards away, but there is also grass at 300 yards. The British team member hits the ball towards the left side where there is grass, and Bilford scolds him for acting so lazily. Gawain decides to hit it 300 yards away too, but he notices that he can somehow make the 400 shot as well if he tries. Lancelot thinks that he is going to cost them the round, and Gawain pleads with him to let him attempt at least. He makes his shot and the ball flies over 390 yards but lands in the last bunker. Gawain thinks that he can make an even longer shot in the next attempt and that he is flowing with power. They lose the round due to the bunker, and the American team takes their fourth team. On the next round, Quester takes out his driver club for the first time since he is also feeling very excited, and he recalls how people would always fuss over his drive shots. He makes his shot, which goes over a distance of 410 yards, surprising everyone, and Gawain takes the podium next. He thinks that Quester is amazing, but he feels like he can achieve anything, so he makes his shot next. His drive shot goes 440 yards away and directly hits the ball pin, after which it rolls away in the grass. He celebrates his shot with Lancelot while Quester starts having an existential crisis that a kid is outperforming him. He even throws away his driving club, and Gawain runs ahead to recover it. Bilford also joins him to search for the driving club, and he tells the Japanese team that Quester's team spirit has been crushed, but Lancelot tells him to stop blaming Gawain. They proceed with the round, in which Bilford fails to make the hole in the second shot, so Lancelot puts the ball in the hole and the Japanese team finally wins its first round. They proceed with the rest of the rounds one by one and win the next 4 rounds, due to which the American team gets 4 points in total out of 9 and the Japanese team gets 5 points. Ice from the Britain team decides to finally get serious, and he asks Spida whether she will go out with him if he scores all the remaining points. They reach the next course where Lancelot had previously wrecked the American team, and he advises Gawain on how to handle his shot. Gawain then makes his tee shot, but due to the appearance of strong wind, all of a sudden his ball changes course and falls in the bunker. Ice then makes a very strong shot despite the wind, which lands the ball near the hole. The teams discuss that the Britain team's knowledge about their home ground is giving them an advantage. The Britain team wins the round while the American team gives up the round, and they all head to the next course. The next round is filled with trees which make it hard to maneuver the ball, and Ice hits the ball through the trees easily. Gawain hits the ball next in a straight path which barely takes it halfway across the course, while Chester hits a tree with his shot. Lancelot hits the ball next and tries to maneuver it around the curved path, but his ball hits a hill, while Platilysa gets the opportunity to make the next shot clearly on a straight path. She ends up hitting it right next to the hole, and Gawain attempts to hit the ball next straight to the green area, but his ball hits the hill next and gets bounced back. Lancelot thinks that it's his fault for losing the round, so he tries hitting the ball directly into the hole. He messes up and the ball lands in the green area far from the hole, but Gawain cheers him and asks him to give him advice on how to make a putting shot. They arrive at the green part where Lancelot gives him precise advice on how to sink the ball, and Gawain finally puts the ball in the hole following his advice. They lose the round due to making more shots than the Brit team, and up next they face a long round, but unfortunately due to the match rules Lancelot has to make the driving shot first. He ends up messing up and throws the ball wrongly on a large stone. Gawain notices that he seems out of it, while Lancelot keeps worrying that he is holding Gawain back. The others tell the Japanese team to declare their next show unplayable, but Gawain jumps on the large stone and starts hopping on it like a trained monkey. He reaches the top where he finds the ball, and he decides to make his move directly towards the green. He hits a driving shot which lands the ball directly on the green, and then tells Lancelot that they should both rely on each other a little more. Both the Japanese and the Britain team get a tie and they head to the next course. Gawain tells Quester to cheer up on the way, and that he shouldn't be pulling down Bilford with him, so Quester snaps and yells at him. Gawain reminds him that his spirit was crushed as well, but he recovered, so he should also make an effort to surpass him. In the next round, Platilysa hits the ball on the safe side while Gawain tries hitting the ball on the green, and the ball flies over the pinhole into a bunker instead. Quester then makes a perfect driving shot by hitting the ball directly on the green. He tells Gawain that he will definitely surpass him, and the American team wins the round. The next rounds proceed with all teams trying their best, and the match finally arrives at the last round, in which a lot of team scores have been carried forward due to multiple tied games. The last course was also played during the first round, and Quester starts off by hitting a very precise long driving shot. Ice also attempts to make a driving shot, and Gawain follows him by making his own last driving shot. Platilysa hits the second shot and realizes that they can't make the hole in 2 shots, while Quester's driving shot reaches 420 yards. Gawain wins the driving match since his shot was even farther than Quester, and Bilford assures Quester that he will make the hole with his shot. Bilford then prepares to make his shot, but he keeps waiting for the wind to die down, and just when the wind dies down, he He makes his shot in an attempt to directly put the ball into the hole. He misses the hole by a small distance and the others still find his achievement remarkable. Lancelot prepares to make his shot next and he thinks that he should put the ball near the hole at least 1 meter away so that Gane can put it in the hole. The wind starts blowing all of a sudden and he thinks that he will mess up the shot. He then takes out his putter club much to everyone's shock and he tries visualizing whether he can make the hole from 70 yards away. He recalls his promise to Curamine to give his best and he then visualizes his putting shot all the way to the hole. He then wonders what kind of swing he should make since it will make or break the shot and he then ends up hitting the ball with a 20 width swing by putting extra pressure on it at the end. The ball rolls over the 70 yards and stops near the hole but then it rolls down into the hole once and for all. The Japanese team wins the round and the others applaud their mutual effort as well. The team unites with Yumiko and Wanglian who have also scored 6 points and they rush to cheer Leebel's points. They discover that Leebel's team was utterly defeated because they failed to get even 1 point due to Britain's team champion Tristan. Tristan offers Tristan his hand but he doesn't greet him and instead walks away. Gane runs after him to scold him but he pushes him away as well. Later Merlin announces the result which puts the Britain team in first followed by the Japanese team which is in second and the American team comes in third position. Later, Bridget cries about their failure and Bilford assures the team that they can try next year while he himself is retiring. Gane comes across Tristan practicing on his own by using only his one hand and Tristan tells him that he wants to reach the pinnacle of pro golfing. He asks him to leave him alone and meanwhile Yumiko drags Lancelot with him to go shopping. Gane learns from Arya that Leebel is missing and that he may be feeling responsible for the 0 points round so he runs away to search for him. He finds him sulking near a pond and even Quester joins the both of them. Quester reminds him that they both know each other but Leebel can't seem to recall him. He tells them to leave him alone and Quester reminds him that he lost against by 10 strokes in Junior Atlantic Championships after which he promised to take revenge by winning with 10 strokes. He then taunts him about giving up after one lousy loss and Leebel wakes up. He thanks both Gane and him for motivating him and he shares that he was not in sync with Tristan due to which he lost but also Tristan wasn't much serious about the team play either. Yumiko and Lancelot come across Tristan visiting a grave in the city and Lancelot notices something unusual about him. Gane and Quester have a heart-to-heart talk in which Gane admits that he improved his driving shot thanks to him and Quester explains to him how they both have a gift which allows them to hit the ball's core. Gane tells him that Lancelot has a gift as well which allows him to put the ball into the hole every time. Tristan calls to inform Dorfa that he lost pathetically and his old teammates encourage him over the phone. Platilysa spots Wanglian chit-chatting with someone from the Britain team and she also thinks how she needs to beat her sister in the upcoming individual matches at all cost. The next day Merlin gives a brief lecture to everyone after which the teams head to a special course on buses. Tristan explains to Gane that they will be competing in teams of 3 and each team will have players from all the 3 teams. Lancelot gets grouped with Tristan while Platilysa gets grouped with her sister. Tristan recalls that in the past kids would bully him because his dad worked 3 jobs despite having health conditions just to fund his golfing. One of the kids called his dad a fool so Tristan punched him hard. Later he had to go to the hospital to see his dad who had collapsed during his work and his dad made him promise that he would keep playing golf no matter what. He kept working hard and even got recruited for Camelot Academy but when he rushed to the hospital to inform his dad, he discovered that he had passed away. He tells himself that he wants to prove to everyone that his dad was right on encouraging him to keep playing golf. The matches begin with Tristan hitting his first shot superbly and Lancelot notices the wound on his finger does not relate or disturb his golfing. Gawain's American teammate Charles decides the hitting order by throwing something in the air and his teammate named Percival also introduces herself. The course consists of a bridge but the others have made their shots beside the bridge to avoid hitting the forest beside the bridge. Gane hits straight through the bridge and crosses the 380 yards distance so up next Percival takes out her 60-inch long driving club. She twists her body around and hits the ball with all her strength which sends the ball flying over the bridge and it lands ahead of Gawain's ball. Charles also makes a moderate shot and both shorties then make their way through the bridge. Percival tells him that she plans to become the #1 golfer in the world regardless of her gender and Gawain also compliments her skills. He even checks out her unique driving club and Charles makes his shot next. He attempts to land the ball in the green area by making his ball do a backspin but due to the hard ground, the ball doesn't spin back that much. Gawain then hits the ball through the bush and his ball also bounces off the green area. Percival attempts to do a shot that she saw Tristan doing but she fumbles it due to which the ball only rolls a few yards away. Charles wins the round and they head to the next round where the other team is finishing up. The next round has bunkers around the pinhole due to which Kate messes up her shot and throws it out of bounds. Lancelot then calmly throws the ball over the bunkers into the green area, and up next Tristan prepares to make his shot. Percival turns around because she doesn't want to lose her confidence, and he then makes a very unique shot that throws the ball vertically into the air, which lands directly into the pinhole. Lancelot notices that the scar on his finger may be the result of extensive training, while Tristan thinks that due to the trajectory of the green area Lancelot should take 3 more shots to hold the ball. Lancelot proceeds to chip it into the hole in 1 shot, and Tristan ultimately wins the round. They all head to the next course, and meanwhile Tadeusz messes up his shot due to being too tense. Bilford asks him why he is aiming for the Camelot Cup, and he explains his own reason that he wants to become a top pro golfer, due to which he wants to beat Tristan at any cost. He explains that he was behind Tristan by 5 strokes last year, and Tadeusz recalls that he also wants to win at any cost and for the sake of his friends as well. He recalls Curamine's words to him, which give him motivation, and up next he prepares to make his shot. The others think that he should declare his ball unplayable since it's stuck in a bush, and he proceeds to hit it through the bush by scraping his arms. The ball lands near the hole and he gets his motivation back. Tristan lands another ball into the ball with 1 shot, and he thinks about how he will dedicate his win to his dad again to make him proud. Kate messes up on the 3rd round for the 1000th time and whines about losing to Tristan and Lancelot, who are practically golfing monsters. She notices that Lancelot has dropped one of his balls, so she calls him out, and he seems very distracted to her. He keeps thinking that he is 1 stroke behind Tristan, so he needs to improve his playing. Gawaine's group arrives at the 3rd course, and Gawaine yells at Lancelot that he should relax. Percival plays it safe by hitting the ball more than 100 yards away because the path is very thin, and Charles ends up throwing the ball out of bounds. Gawaine recalls Tristan's vertical shot and he thinks of attempting it. He focuses on the flag this time and hits it straight towards the hole, due to which it lands a little distance away from the hole. They all proceed ahead, and Leebel's group arrives at the course next. Leebel makes a very precise long-range shot, and Quester does the same, while the Brit player named Ryan wonders how the other 2 are performing so well. Lancelot tries to relax and he hits his next shot directly into the hole. Gawaine also hits his shot straight ahead and ends up hitting the hill. Up next, Leebel tells Quester that Gawaine has made golf very enjoyable for him and that he wishes to have a brother like him. Arya tells the American coach Tim that Gawaine has only started playing coach half a year ago, which greatly surprises him, and that he has no official match experience. Gawaine's grandpa attends a festival in his village, in which he feels Gawaine's absence even more than usual. The players proceed to play the courses 1 by 1, and a guy watches them play. He thinks that Tristan is the most formidable player, of course, but he realizes that Lancelot is a very talented player as well. He watches as Lancelot makes a very difficult putting shot without even thinking about it, and he thinks that he already knows all the talented players in the current year's Camelot Cup. Just then he sees someone make a very fast diving shot, and he thinks that maybe it's made by Quester, but he notices someone else on the field. He goes through the players list to see Gawaine on the list, and Gawaine's last name surprises him. Meanwhile, Gawaine and Percival discuss his driving shot, and soon the matches end 1 by 1. The result gets posted on a board, but Gawaine and Percival are unable to see it, being the midgets they are. Tristan comes on the top while Lancelot is 3 strokes behind him, and Wanglian comes on second as well, which surprises everyone. Just then, the creepy man from before walks up to the players and introduces himself as Arthur, who was a former coach in Camelot Academy a decade ago. He tells Quester, who is his son, that he isn't performing well and that he has come to see the abilities of the current players. He then asks Gawaine where he is from and who his parents are, so Gawaine tells him about himself, including the fact that he only lives with his grandpa. He asks him about his mother specifically, so Gawaine reveals that his mother's name is Shoko and that she died after he was born. He walks away after hearing this, but Quester notices that he seemed really troubled. All the players head to the remaining fields for the second half of the day, and Gawaine tells Percival that his grandpa has always refused to tell him about his dad, which makes her think that there must be some kind of drama. Lancelot starts worrying about being in the 3rd position, and they all arrive at the 10th course, where strong winds face them. Wanglian decides to go ahead first, and he starts focusing on the wind. He then makes his driving shot, which gets carried by the wind and lands directly into the hole. Gawaine notices that Lancelot seems quite nervous, and meanwhile Kyria also practices golf in Japan as she chit-chats with Kajiri. Tristan makes his shot next, and it lands near the hole. Kajiri tells Kyria that Lancelot has never lost since his debut, due to which he is still very sensitive inside. She tells him about how he started playing golf because he was imitating her, and she realized his talent for putting from the beginning, but still he never wanted to officially play it. 3 years ago she had an accident which affected her vision, and Lancelot cried a lot because he felt that it wasn't fair to her. He visited her every day to cheer her up and even decided to start playing golf just for her sake. That's why Kajiri worries that he won't be able to get up again if he faces his first defeat. At the golfing course, Lancelot messes up his next shot as he ends up breaking his club. He messes up the next one as well and even fails to make his putting shot, which he cannot believe. Percival makes a low driving shot on the windy course and manages to throw the ball over the bunkers on the grass. Gawain then uses an iron club, and Quester recalls how his dad Arthur once told him that his power of rising impact belongs to their clan only. Gawain proceeds to make the shot over the bunkers as well, which lands on the grass. Meanwhile, Arthur tells someone on the phone that he plans to bring back Gawain with him after the Camelot Cup because he belongs to his clan. Yumiko and Bridget compete on their course and they both keep arguing with each other over petty things. Yumiko calls Bridget and Quester lame for wearing similar clothes, and in return she kicks her to the ground. She tells her that she can bet her whole life on Quester, and she recalls how she met Quester during a rough phase of her life when Quester was also getting in trouble with his dad. He then taught her golf, and in the present, she makes a shot which has greater spin than Yumiko. She then declares that Yumiko can never beat her because her love for Quester is everything for her. Spida uses the course of wind to make a curve shot which lands her ball near the hole, and Platilysa tries imitating her technique, but her ball only ends rolling further away. Spida then tells her to stop imitating her, and Platilysa recalls Gawain's words telling her to keep following her sister. Gawain's group arrives at a course in heavy rain which is filled with trees, and Percival proceeds to make a very safe shot. Gawain spots a hole through the trees, so he takes the risk and makes his shot. He succeeds at his shot, and Percival becomes upset to realize that he is better than her. She then attempts to do the same thing by using her long driver club, but the ball hits the tree and bounces back at her. Gawain jumps in front of her and gets hit by the ball instead, due to which he gets knocked out. Percival and Charles start freaking out over Gawain's injury and they wonder how they reach out for help from someone, but just then Gawain wakes up. He assures them that he is alright despite his bleeding head, and Percival then binds his head with the cloth. He tells everyone to proceed with the round, and Percival admits her mistake that she was acting pathetically because she is jealous. Gawain advises her to play freely without worrying too much about the score, and she then makes her shot with less pressure. Gawain continues to bleed through the bandaged cloth, and he even trips down once. His head starts feeling fuzzy and he feels weird, but a sudden calmness washes over his brain. He predicts accurately what kind of shot he should make next, and he uses an iron club to make his next shot. The ball hits the hole and bounces back to the ground, so he puts it back inside the hole and wins the round. They all head to the next round, and the others think he is acting very weird while Gawain punches a tree to make his hand feel something. They reach the next round, in which there is a curved down road which leads to the hole, and there is a waterfall behind the hole. Lancelot's group is still on the green grass, but Gawain still takes out his club and prepares to make his shot. Lancelot barely puts the ball in the hole when Gawain directly makes a drive shot towards the hole. His ball hits the hole and bounces back into the grass. Tristan calls his shot a fluke, so Gawain tells him that it wasn't a fluke. In the next round, they come across Tristan's group once again, in which Tristan uses his vertical shot to put the ball in the hole. Gawain gets stuck in the same bunker just like Tristan, and he decides to use the same vertical shot just like him. He makes his shot, but due to a light wind his ball doesn't go inside the hole. Tristan makes his shot directly into the green area in the next round, and Kate follows it by throwing the ball some distance away from the hole. Percival notices that Gawain's bleeding has gotten worse, but he seems unmoved by it. Lancelot then makes a pathetic shot as well, and Gawain points out to him that he would have scored out if he were not playing so pathetically. Kate keeps defending him, and she tells the group that he messed up his putting, due to which he is having problems. Gawain then makes him recall how he told him to focus on each stroke at a time when they first met, and he tells him not to disappoint him as his rival. Lancelot recalls all of his hard work, and their group heads to the next course while Lancelot thinks about how Gawain has started to walk in front of him before he even knew it. Lancelot takes out his putter to make his next shot even though the ball is 50 yards away, and he recalls all the basic hard work has put in for golf. He sees the path towards the hole, so he hits the ball and the ball rolls inside the hole. The others celebrate his comeback, and Tristan then proceeds to throw the ball into the hole as well. Lancelot tells him to focus on Gawain for now, who is in beast mode, and Gawain then sets his pin on an unusual angle to make his shot. He decides to make one shot through his driving club, and he stops hearing anything else as he begins focusing on his shot. He then hits the ball, and the ball directly flies into the pin 150 yards away. He thinks that even Tristan can make such a shot, so he needs to flex in some other way, and Percival thinks about how Tristan cannot make direct others for more than 120 yards. Arthur continues to watch the match from far away, and he thinks that Gawain's inner powers may have awakened due to the shock from his bleeding. Percival thinks that Gawain has somehow become scary after his injury, and they reach the next round, in which Tristan's team still hasn't started playing. Gawain thinks that they were waiting for him, and Tristan declares that he will show him how to reach the golf summit. Percival recalls how Tristan has always seemed distant from all interactions and team activities, but he seems interested in showing Gane who is the boss. The 15th hole is the most difficult one since the course is filled with bunkers and a strong wind. Tristan and Bilford discuss how they have lost points at the same hole, while Wanglian also says the same to his friend. Tristan sees the wind blowing just like falling stars and he then makes his shot. The ball shoots through the wind but it falls down on the grass as it gets stopped by the wind at the end. Tristan and Bilford discuss that the 15th hole's main difficulty is that the ball keeps falling in the bunker, which breaks the player mentally. Lancelot then proceeds to hit the ball in the bunker intentionally and Kate's ball also gets stuck in the bunker. Lancelot thinks that he can hit the ball along the wind easily since the sand in the bunker has hardened due to the recent rain, which makes it easier to hit the ball, and he remains calm, which Tristan notices. Gane wonders what kind of shot he should make and he sees that the course bends to the left, but since he can only make straight shots he decides to shoot the ball towards a hill which is on the right side and much further away from the main course. He hits the ball towards the hill and meanwhile Tristan puts the ball into the hole. Just then, Gawain's ball shoots towards the pin and bounces off in the green area after hitting the pin. His move shocks everyone since he made a direct shot from the hill and Tristan starts to become moved for the first time ever. In the next round he messes up by hitting the ball out of the bounds. In the past, Tristan gets into trouble with his teammates because he doesn't want to practice with them and they all gang up on him to throw taunts at him. Tristan reminds them that none of them have ever beaten him before, and Coach Jason then announces that they will have a match in which Tristan has to defeat everyone by 5 strokes, after which he can play alone. Of course Tristan wins the match again, after which he keeps practicing alone by himself. In the present, Tristan messes up and Lancelot follows by making a great driving shot. Tristan then makes his second shot and he gets distracted by Lancelot's shot, who perfectly throws the ball into the green side. He messes up his shot again as he tries to put the ball directly into the hole, but the ball hits the pink and gets bounced back into the hole. Lancelot then puts the ball into the hole and Tristan messes up his shot again, due to which the ball rolls into the pond. The others think that his armor is starting to come off, while Tristan thinks about the fact that he has never had to play against someone else, but for the first time ever someone is challenging him. He takes out the ball and hits it directly into the hole. Gane falls on his knees due to dizziness and others start worrying about him, but he assures that he can still play the remaining 2 holes. Charles curries his clubs while he walks further with Percival's help, and Arthur calls the ambulance when he sees this. Arthur hits another great shot, making his teammates realize that his beast mode is back. All the teams wait for the others at the end of the last hole, and Platilysa seems to have lost to her sister while Yumiko has lost against Bridget. They all notice that Tristan's team is not making any shots at the last hole, and Gane also heads to the last hole in his best form. They all reunite and Tristan asks Percival to support Gane since he seems really pale. Tristan then makes a long driving shot which crosses 300 yards over a pond, and Lancelot follows him by making a similar shot. Tristan then decides to make a single shot to hole his ball even though the ball is 140 yards away and he cannot make it. He takes off his glove and focuses on his club to make his next shot. Even the people at the end of the course feel the tension coming off from him, and he then makes his shot. His ball rolls away from the hole, but due to the backspin, it rolls back and lands into the hole. The whole group finishes their shots and walks away from the course, but just then Gane collapses on the ground. The others start realizing that something may be wrong with Gane, and the coaches get informed that Gane was injured during the match. They all start rushing back and forth to call an ambulance, and Gane gets up because he doesn't want to lose the match. His head starts dripping blood, but he takes his club and prepares to make his shot, which will directly put the ball into the club. Quester and Leebel's group also arrive at their course by then, and they hear all the commotion where Gawain's teammates are pleading with him to stop. Gane then makes his shot and he sees the ball go inside the cup. He then collapses, but Quester comes running at him and catches him. Everyone rushes to his side while the ball bounces outside the hole and falls on the grass. The doctor tells Arya that Gane will get better and that he isn't in a critical position. Later Merlin announces to all the players that Tristan has gotten first position while Bilford got the second position and Wanglian got the third position. He then gives the Camelot Cup award, which is a gold club, to Tristan, but he refuses to take it since he doesn't believe that he is the actual champion. He thinks that Gane would have beaten him if they had one more hole, but still the others think he is the champion and he accepts the reward. All of them feast on the food, and Leebel comes to announce that Gane will be released in 1 week. Gane wakes up in the hospital with Percival and she starts fussing over him while he wonders where he is. Arthur also visits him in the hospital and they tell him about how he was disqualified from the match due to his head injury. Percival keeps apologizing to him for hurting him and he assures her that there is no problem, but she starts crying for costing him his match. Arthur notices that Gane resembles his mom a lot, and afterwards he tells him that he wants to recruit him. When Arthur leaves, Percival tells Gawain about the results which shock him because he didn't expect Lancelot to have lost. She also tells him that he would have come in second if he made his last shot, and he cannot believe her because he thinks that she is capping. He then recalls some moments from the game and he asks her whether there is a practice course nearby. Arya calls her students to tell them that they are heading back to Japan the next day while she will stay with Gawain in the hospital for the time being. She returns to the hospital room and discovers that Gawain is missing. Meanwhile, Gawain and Percival rush to a practice course near her house because Gawain wants to recall the feeling that he felt in the game. They go to her house where he changes his clothes and they proceed to practice together, eat food in her house and have a lot of fun till Gawain falls asleep in her house. The American and Japanese team arrives at the airport and Spida also arrives to meet Platilysa. Both sisters whine to each other and finally become friends again. The American team boards their airplane, but Quester realizes that Bridget is not in the plane, and just when the plane starts to move, he notices Arthur standing with Wanlian and Bridget at a distance. Percival's family drives Gawain back to Arya at the airport and Tristan also comes to see him off. He gives him his own Camelot Cup reward, which is a legendary club, since he feels like he doesn't deserve it, and Gawain hands it back to him. They all bid farewell to each other and Gawain heads back with Arya. He recalls that Arthur had asked him to join the Kingdom Academy, which is built for top pro junior golfers, but he refused him since he wants to defeat Lancelot and Tristan in Camelot Academy for now. Gawain arrives in Japan and gets united with Kiria and Kurumi. His classmates at the Camelot Academy welcome him back and he proceeds to keep practicing with Lancelot so that he can continue to improve. Will he ever defeat Lancelot and face his father finally? Comment your thoughts below and make sure to like and subscribe the channel.